Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here tonight. At this time, we're going to open this evening with a public hearing on the ordinance setting council compensation. I'd like to call the public hearing to order. Is there anyone who would like to speak? Anyone? Okay. If no one wants to speak, at this time I will close the public hearing for the ordinance setting council compensation. And we will call to order our meeting, regular council meeting, town of Batesburg-Leesville, February the 10th, a little after 7 here at the beautiful Town Hall Complex at 120 West Church Street. At this time, if we could have an invocation by Pastor Kent Suits. If you would, sir.
Again, I'd like to begin this time with a word from God. This is from 1 Timothy chapter 2. First of all, then, I urge that supplications, prayers, intercessions, and thanksgivings be made for all people, for kings, and for all who are in high positions, that we may lead a peaceful and quiet life, godly and dignified in every way. This is good and it is pleasing in the sight of God our Savior, who desires all people to be saved and to come to the knowledge of the truth. For there is one God and there is one mediator between God and man, the man Jesus Christ, who gave himself as a ransom for all, which is a testimony given at the proper time. For this I was appointed a preacher. Let's pray. Father God, we praise you and we give you thanks this evening for these men and women who are sitting before us. We thank you for the mayor and for these councilmen and women. We thank you that you have put them in the seat that they are sitting. Though you use the hands of men and women to vote them into these positions, we acknowledge that you are in control of all things and that they were appointed as your stewards and your servants in this place. And so, Lord, we pray for wisdom for them, that they would have peace with one another and love for the people that they are called to lead, and that you would give them unity with one another as leaders of this town, and that we, with humility, would listen and follow them in their leadership. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, sir. Next up on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. Well, if you would, sir.
Let us stand, put your hand across your heart. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks, sir. Moving on to item 4, approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Gambrell, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Prowse. Any discussion?
I believe the minutes should be amended. I'm sorry, I got caught off guard. It says Springdale. No, the minutes, I'm sorry. Excuse me. No discussion.
Okay, any other discussion? District 1? District 2?
Yes.
District 4?
Yes.
District 5?
Yeah.
District 6?
Yes.
District 7?
Yes.
District 8?
Yes.
And I vote yes. The agenda this evening has been accepted. Moving on to adoption of minutes. We have 3 to adopt this evening. Regular council minutes for the January 13th, 2020 meeting. Do I have a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Mr. Prowse, do I have a second?
Second.
Ms. Etheridge? Any discussion? District 1? 2?
Yes.
4?
Yes.
5? 6?
Yes.
7?
Yes.
8?
Yes.
And I vote yes. The regular council meeting for January 13th minutes have been adopted. Moving on to item B, special council meeting January 21st, 2020. Do I have a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Mr. Rouse, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Gambrell. Any discussion? District 1,
Yes.
2,
Yes.
4,
Yes.
5,
I wasn't here, so.
6,
Yes.
7,
Yes.
8,
Yes.
and I vote yes. The minutes for the special council meeting on the January 21st have been adopted. Move on to item C, special council meeting January 27th, 2020. Do I have a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Mr. Gambrell, do I have a second?
Second.
Ms. Etheridge, any discussion? District 1,
Yes.
District 2,
Yes.
District 4,
Yes.
District 5? No. Okay, District 6,
Yes.
District 7,
Yes.
District 8,
Yes.
and I vote yes. The special council meeting minutes from January 27th have been adopted. Moving on to the mayor's report, our next regular council meeting for March will be on March the 9th, 2020. And item B, council committee reports. Number 1, Central Midlands COG, Councilmember Hall.
Nothing to report. My first meeting will be this Thursday.
Thank you very much. Number 2, Environmental Planning Advisory Committee, Councilmember Prouse.
All right, EPAC did meet last month, for the first time in a little while. A couple of things they worked through. That's more informational than there were no votes taken at this meeting. Information was related to the Fairfield Joint Water and Sewer system, the new wastewater treatment plant that they're pursuing, as well as a new water treatment or water service area is in the process of being created in Fairfield County to serve a new industrial mega site off of I-77. They also gave an update on the Southeast Richland County Sewer Project. Basically, that was just an update related to desired service, water and sewer service for the southeastern portion of Richland County. That is all for that most recent meeting.
Thank you, sir. And Joint Municipal Water and Sewer Commission has not met since the last meeting. Moving on to item C, BL Chamber of Commerce update, President Mike Taylor.
Thank you, Mayor, members of council. Our first chamber event will be March the 21st at TNS Farms. That's the first event of the new year and the new decade, so we're excited to get started on that. The theme will be a big night out, and it will feature Heart and Soul Band and have music bingo. Proceeds will be shared between the Batesburg-Leesville Chamber and the Batesburg-Leesville Relay for Life. It's a good cause and a great event. Hope y'all consider being there. Arts of the Ridge is in the process of finalizing the plans for the 3 summer camps that we have, the visual performing and choral arts in June. The Dream Catchers just held a very successful fundraiser in January when they handled concessions at the Batesburg-Leesville Leisure Center with a wrestling event that they had there. The board has met and established the calendar for the Dream Catchers through June. They have, as y'all know, with the town and the chamber, they participated in events in the town such as the Easter egg hunt, Halloween on Main, Peachtree 23-yard sale, and other events, and they look forward to participating with them and with the town in the future. The chamber continues to receive updates on legislation. We have a conference call every other week. I think at last month's meeting you presented some things we were monitoring. At our last partnership committee meeting, which the chamber has that, state chamber has that quarterly, we had presentations on the new federal overtime rules, which was very interesting. And we also had someone who talked about festivals and events compliance. A supervisor from the alcoholic beverage licensing and licensing, and also revenue officer and field collections officer with the Department of Revenue made presentations. I understand that ignorance of the law is no excuse. So therefore, I was happy and sad to hear what they reported, in that I did not realize that when the chamber or other organizations in our community have fundraisers and sell tickets, that there's an admission tax. So that, and also the fact that if you have alcoholic beverages, you have to have a permit and so forth. So that is information that I received and glad to have, and I certainly pass it on to the other organizations in town. I don't know, I want y'all to be aware that on our new website, that there's a chamber calendar and a community calendar. Everybody in the community has an opportunity to go into our website, go into the community calendar, it has events at the top, click on community calendar, and down at the bottom, or at the top of that, is add an event. So the churches, organizations, and everything can go in there and post, and it'd be a good opportunity for people to go and keep up with everything that's going on in town. I know that the town's been good about that, posting council meetings and so forth, and we hope that they'll continue doing that. I found it interesting, and I had to make a presentation for the Compensation Tax Committee this last week, and in studying, going into Google Analytics and looking at our website, I found this information I thought was kind of interesting. We have something like 30 users from communities around the world and so forth that come into our website. The top 6 users on our website in order are Lexington, Batesburg-Leesville, and I think you find the next 3 surprising: Charlotte, Raleigh, Atlanta, and Gilbert. So we are being looked at and watched. Okay? Thank you for your opportunity. I'll be glad to answer any questions if you have any.
That's great. Thank you, Mr. Mike. Moving on to item 7, public comments regarding items on the agenda. Ms. Judy, do we have anyone this evening? Thank you. Moving on to item 8, unfinished business, second reading of the ordinance setting the council compensation. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I move to adopt.
Mr. Prowse, do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Gambrell. Any discussion? District 1,
Yes.
District 2,
Yes.
District 4,
Yes.
District 5, District 6,
Yes.
District 7,
Yes.
District 8,
No.
and I vote yes. Second reading of ordinance setting council compensation has passed. Moving on to number 9, new business proclamation proclaiming March 2020 as the 17th annual March for Meals Month. Is there anyone who would like to volunteer to read the proclamation? I shall do it. Are you sure? Just a second to scroll down. All right. A proclamation proclaiming March 2020 as the 18th annual March for Meals Month. Whereas on March 22nd, 1972, President Richard Nixon signed into law a measure that amended the Older Americans Act of 1965 and established a national nutrition program for seniors 60 years and older. And whereas Meals on Wheels America established a March for Meals campaign in March 2002 to recognize the historic month. The importance of the Older Americans Act and nutrition programs, both congregate and home delivered, and raise awareness about the escalating problem of senior hunger in America. And whereas the 2020 observance of March for Meals celebrates 18 years of providing an opportunity to support Meals on Wheels programs that deliver vital and critical services by donating, volunteering, and raising awareness about senior hunger and isolation. And whereas Meals on Wheels programs, both congregate and home delivered in Lexington County, have served our communities admirably for more than 40 years. And whereas Volunteers for Meals on Wheels programs in Lexington County are the backbone of the program, and they not only deliver nutritious meals to seniors and individuals with disabilities who are at significant risk of hunger and isolation, but also caring concern and attention to their welfare. And whereas Meals on Wheels programs in Lexington County provide nutritious meals to seniors throughout Lexington County that help them maintain their health and independence, thereby preventing unnecessary falls, hospitalizations, and premature institutionalization. And whereas Meals on Wheels programs in Lexington County provide a powerful socialization opportunity for millions of seniors to help combat loneliness and isolation. And Meals on Wheels programs in Lexington County deserve recognition for the contributions they have made and will continue to make to local communities, our state, and our nation. Therefore, the Mayor and Town Council of Batesburg-Leesville, South Carolina, do hereby proclaim March 2020 as the 18th Annual March for Meals Month and urge every citizen to take this month to honor our Meals on Wheels programs, the seniors they serve, and the volunteers who care for them. Our recognition of and involvement in the National 2020 March for Meals can enrich our entire community and help combat senior hunger and isolation in America. Do I have a motion to adopt the proclamation?
So moved.
Mr. Proust, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Mitchell. Any discussion? District 1?
Yes.
District 2?
Yes.
District 4?
Yes.
District 5? District 6?
Yes.
District 7?
Yes.
District 8?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Proclamation has been adopted. Anyone here to accept that today? Very good. Thank you. Moving on. Next we have proclamation. This is for our Miss Barbara Cribb, 40 years with the town of Batesburg-Leesville. Anyone want to read this one? Give the mayor a break. That's okay. And Ms. Cribb, here's your proclamation. Read this to you. Whereas Barbara Cribb has always demonstrated compassion and concern for all members of the Batesburg-Leesville community, and whereas Barbara joined the Batesburg Police Department in January 1980 as a dispatcher jailer, and whereas Barbara became the director and sergeant of the Batesburg-Leesville Dispatch Jail Operations Center in January of 1997. And whereas since January of 1997, Barbara has trained personnel, led the upgrades in the 911 operations, and exceeded the security requirements for NCIC and jail inspections. Now therefore be it resolved that the Mayor and Town Council of Batesburg-Leesville would like to congratulate Barbara for her 40 years of service to the town of Batesburg-Leesville and wish her many more years to come. Do I have a motion to adopt the proclamation?
So moved.
Mr. Gambrell, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Hall. Any discussion? District 1,
Yes.
2, yes. 4,
Yes.
5, 6,
Yes.
7,
Yes.
8,
Yes.
and I vote yes. The proclamation has been adopted. Congratulations. We'll get you something printed up real nice. Why don't you stand up here with council? Oh, well. Hands right there on the shoulder, gentlemen. I don't want any of that,
Thank you.
Thank you for your service. Next item in new business is approval of contractor and funding for improvements of the Brody Mill Pump Station. Details were in your packet. Do I have a motion to approve?
Mr. Mayor,
Yep.
I move that we approve awarding JL Construction Company of Greenville this project and approve the needed additional funding from the capital improvement account. That additional needed money, $39,700, as referenced in the white paper.
Motion to approve by Mr. Prowse. Do I have a second? Second by Ms. Etheridge. Now, any discussion?
I mean, when was this approved? I mean, when did you all decide to do this? Was it at the last meeting?
No, ma'am.
At y'all's
No,
special
ma'am.
meeting?
No, ma'am.
So when was it?
Dave, would you like to discuss, it was in the packet, certainly, that everyone got.
I didn't ask you, was it in the packet?
Okay.
I said.
Certainly,
when
ma'am.
did the council discuss it?
We did not discuss it the last meeting, I can tell you that, ma'am.
So Lexington County, I've been reporting for a few months now that Lexington County CDBG department had awarded us $240,000 for some needed upgrades that we need at the Brody Mill pump station. Among these upgrades are the replacement of 2 vertical turbine pumps, upgrades to our electrical systems, and process metering equipment, and the installation of SCADA, which is cellular monitoring and control systems that send what that pump station is doing back to our water plant so that they can know what's going on. While Lexington County awarded us $240,000 in grant funds, the bid that was received was for $279,700, which means that we have to make up the difference of $39,700. Also, to let you know, the pumps, this pump station was constructed in 1963 and is still operating with the same pumps. Now, those pumps have been rebuilt numerous times, but the pump station is very antiquated. For those that may not know, this pump station during the summertime is greatly utilized in that the water that comes over the Brody Mill Dam and into the creek, this water is pumped from that location to our town pond reservoir to help top off the town pond during the summer and provide additional water to that pond. So this is to make improvements to that pump station so that it can become more energy efficient and more operational, better in its operations.
And the grant was for how much?
$240,000.
And the town has to come up with what?
$39,700.
Does that come out of our capital fund?
The recommendation was to take it from the capital improvement account.
That's out of the enterprise fund.
Correct. Utility enterprise fund, correct.
What is Summit Engineering's relationship with the town?
Summit Engineering provided some assistance in the form of helping us to write the bid that went out on SKIBO, as well as doing some of the upfront preliminary engineering work.
Were they compensated for that?
They were, yes, sir.
And is it not common practice to have a third party open bids?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So you brought them in. You brought them in. You were the one that chose this company.
We're doing that right now.
Are you talking about the construction company or?
Yes. Are you the one that chose this company?
So our recommendation is to select JL Construction Company based on being the lowest bidder for this project. So we are making a staff recommendation to select it. Yes, ma'am. And there were a total of 5 people that bid on this project, and they were the lowest bidder.
Any other discussion? All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the contract and funding for improvements to the Brody Mill pump station as quoted by Mr. Prowse. District 1?
Yes.
District 2?
Yes.
District 4?
Yes.
District 5?
No.
District 6?
Yes.
District 7?
Yes.
District 8?
Yes.
And the mayor votes yes. The fundings have been approved. The contract has been approved. Thank you. Moving on to update and discussion from the Hospitality Tax Committee. This was an item that was put on, that was requested to be put on the agenda by Mr. Kane, and council voted to put that on. Are there any, let's see. The committee, the last time the committee had met, there was a list that was gathered, and the list was provided to council in a work session. I don't remember the exact date of our work session on that, sometime in the fall. And those items were then condensed into what is now our hospitality tax ordinance. So all of the items that the committee came up with, I think barring one, there was one item that had to involve the old Burlington plant site, which we felt was not within the legal limits of what we could do. There was something about the suggestion that wasn't part of hospitality tax. But all of the items that were come up with were put into the ordinance, and we probably have 5-10 years worth of stuff in that ordinance. I'm trying to think. The committee has not met since that time, and knowing that the master plan, which is a redesign of the downtown districts and the parks, or potential redesign of the downtown districts, parks, and Haynes Auditorium, we're going to be done in that master plan, and then the committee would be reconvened. That's the report that I have. Any other comments or any other discussion?
Is anyone else here on the committee besides you?
Mr. Hall was, Mr. Daphne was, yeah. I chaired the committee per council vote.
So did the council see what your recommendations and stuff?
Yeah, like I said, Ms. Mitchell, it was given in a work session, laid out on the screen.
When was this?
It's September 23rd.
September
23rd.
23rd of last year. Okay. Moving on, Ms. Luckadoo, to the manager's report.
It doesn't appear at this time, unless I'm missing him, that Mr. Ando has made it. He did say he was coming. I will text him momentarily just to make sure he's on his way, but in the meantime, I would suggest that maybe we move on to Chief Oswald for the Batesburg-Leesville Police Department 2019 end of the year report.
If that is okay with council, with no objections, we'll move Chief Oswald item B ahead of Mr. Ando. No objections. Keith, take it away.
PowerPoint comes up, please.
Ms. Luckadoo, can we adjust the lighting so that no one takes a nap, but we can see that screen?
Sure.
There you go, thanks.
Okay, thank you, everyone. As you always, at the beginning of the year, we give a report for the last year. This is the 2019 report for the police department statistics. As you can see on the 5 years that we have bar graphs for, that this is instant reports. These are reports that officers write when they go out on any calls that require an instant report. And as you can see in the last 4 years, or during the last 5 years, they have gone down some. We had the biggest drop last year, where the year before they were 2,107 reports, and last year there were 1,799. Now I need to back up. While that's up, what I did not put on the slides that you see in your packet is because if I put this up on slides, it'd be too tiny to read. This is a breakdown of all the reports that these 1,799 reports reflect. Anytime you wish to look at those, it gives you a breakdown. I highlighted the ones that there were slight increases in, even though the total dropped. And as you can see, we increased one, motor vehicle thefts increased by one, fraud increased by one, on top down disorderly conduct increased by 6, runaways increased by 2. Next page. Liquor law violations increased by 1, kidnapping or abductions increased by 2, domestic violence increased almost 20, like 17 they increased by. Rape and statutory rape increased by 3. Drug equipment violations increased from 52 to 104. That's a 52 increase in that. Theft from motor vehicle increased. Ladies and gentlemen, this increased a lot due to not car break-ins, but people leaving their cars unlocked. And we had some streets that were going down from house to house to house, people just checking to see if the doors were unlocked, and these were breaking. We like not to call them break-ins, because no one actually broke into the car. They're just going down looking for unlocked cars, and people leaving their valuables in unlocked cars. And that's why we had a big increase in that. So this, like I said, this gives a breakdown of all of them that you could look at and see what the increases were in. Even though we had a total decrease, there were a few areas that there were increases. Accident reports made the biggest jump last year. As you can see, in 2018 we had 101 accidents. In 2019 we had 240. Now, if you look at the next maps, we had to make a map where it would be big enough you could see. We had to divide Batesburg into one map and flip over to the other side to see Leesville in the other map. And you can see where the concentration of these accidents were. In the Batesburg area, as you can see, they're concentrated down number 1 highway at 23 and the Walmart intersection. No big surprise to anyone on that. In the Leesville area, they just increased up, mainly up number 1 highway, where most of the accidents at the intersection, number 1 to 245 and places such as that. So you can see the placement of accidents and look in your districts and see where the accidents were in your district on the big increase that we had in traffic accidents. That's the first one was the Batesburg area, this is the Leesville area. Traffic tickets, the writing of traffic tickets went down. As you can see, 2018, officers wrote 565 and they went down 15. 2019 were 550, so it's only a reduction of 15 traffic tickets written. Dispatch center, Barbara Cribb was just here for that, of course, being our main dispatcher. And by the way, thank you for the resolution. She does a great job up there and has for 40 years. But the calls did go down close to 2,000 from 2018 to 2019. Calls for service, calls dispatched out did go down. The next slide are calls dispatched. Wait a minute, I went the wrong way. There we go. Citizens assisted by dispatch. This is the counter for the people who come into the lobby at the police department asking for assistance. This assistance could be anything from asking for directions, which not many people do that anymore with GPS and that, but some people do, asking for a certain area, all the way up to someone coming in needing an ambulance. Some of them for very drastic situations. We've had people who have been actually stabbed and shot walk into our lobby and asking for an ambulance. So everything that you can imagine has entered that lobby at one time or another for dispatch to have to assist. So as you can see, the total last year was 19,254 people that actually came into the police department asking for assistance of one kind, one thing or another. Dispatchers, they do a great job with that. Okay, the next slide, I was asked to break down the instances by race. Now, the first bars that you see in the dividing area there, I figured that not only if you put people who've been arrested by race, you also had to put the victims of these incident reports, and these are by the incident reports. The first two bar graphs are a breakdown between white victims and black victims of those incident reports that you saw, of the earlier slide. This shows that how many victims there were and the breakdown between black and white of the victims of those crimes. The second one are the arrested, the people who were arrested that we housed in our jail, which somehow, I missed that slide in my thing here. It was 545, by the way, that were housed in our jail last year. Of the 545 that were housed in our jail, this shows the difference between black arrestees and white arrestees. There were 266 blacks and 283 whites that were arrested and housed in our jail last year. And then this last one are tickets written. The tickets written we just talked about. They showed the black tickets were 547 to the white tickets 639. Now, next slide is also a breakdown. We went a little farther bit, also to break it down by sex, male and female. The breakdown of male victims and female victims, as you can see, female victims outnumber male victims and victims of crime quite a bit. A lot of that has to do with assaults and criminal domestic violence. We have a lot of domestic violence cases in town, as you can see earlier in the slides. And the victims of these crimes are usually females, unfortunately. And that shows the breakdown between male victims and female. Of the arrested, the ones we house in our jail, male and female, males are above females on that part. And then tickets written, also the males and females are divided up in that. It shows the difference in that. And the last slide. That's Officer Watson during the Easter egg hunt, doing a sack race with a young lady, well, several kids, and he did not let that kid win. And I had to talk to him about that. He said, well, that teaches a life. You don't always win, but I told him he'd let that little girl win. But he didn't. He won the sack race, unfortunately. Any questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chief.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, Executive Director John Endo has arrived. We could go ahead and do his update on the common transportation.
If it pleases the council. So moved. All right.
Mr. Endo?
Welcome, Mr. Ando.
Thank you.
See you again. Can we get some light? Or is this a prank? Oh, we have a...
You're gonna be the last one I get to.
Perfect. Well done.
Like a disco.
Thank you.
There's 3 switches. Third. And I failed.
All right. Well, good evening. John Ando from The Comment. Thank you for having me come today. I'm pleased to give you our first schedule for the Reflex Route 97. It is a new bus route that operates every Thursday between the town of Batesburg-Leesville to Lexington and West Columbia, with connections to routes to go into Casey, Springdale, and Columbia. We operate 3 trips from Batesburg-Leesville to West Columbia, departing at 7:30 in the morning, 12:30 in the afternoon, and 6:30 at night. And then going eastbound to Batesburg-Leesville, we leave West Columbia at 10:58 in the morning and 4:58 in the evening. The route connects with other routes in West Columbia for those that may want to go to Lexington Medical Center, to the VA hospital, to destinations in downtown Columbia, or other shopping opportunities. We also designed the route so that it stops at Red Bank in Lexington, the Lexington County Administration, and the Walmart, Philo, and the Lexington Medical Center in West Columbia. The route is $2 for regular, for basic adults, and $1 for the discount category, which we categorize as seniors, persons with disabilities, Medicare card holders, youth, and anyone with a half-fare ID card. So this is a one-year pilot. The route's being funded by the County of Lexington to test out transit services out here in the town. And if it's ultimately deemed successful, we're happy to work with the town about expansion to adding additional days a week to the service. Ultimately, the goal of the service is to be a lifeline, and what I mean by lifeline is to connect residents to necessary services and activities that are outside the town. It also provides circulation within the town, and the bus will actually go off its route and pick up people at its door for an additional $2. And we call that the flex component of the route itself. You may notice some bus stop signs that have been installed throughout the town. So it's to help also promote the service and working with your town manager to making sure all the residents are aware that this service exists. I'll be happy to answer any questions about the comment or the service that are.
Thank you, Mr. Ando. You had said that if it's successful after 1 year, in the eyes of the comment, what is successful?
Our board of directors has developed some standards, and for a rural route, this route will have to meet at the minimum 3 passengers per hour, have a subsidy of $5 or less, and have a fare box recovery ratio of 5% or greater.
And can you explain that last point?
The fare box recovery is the number of fares collected on the route in comparison to the actual cost to operate the route. And all of our rural routes in the common service area has that lesser standard compared to a route that would operate in the city of Columbia, which would have a higher standard, just because of the nature of what these routes are serving.
You've been in operation for 2 weeks,
That's correct.
riders?
So the first week was 0, the second week was 2, the third week was 5. So it's slowly.
Can you run any day other than Thursday? My Thursdays are booked, but I do want to ride.
Well, when we did the community survey, Thursday was the most popular day that was suggested, so that's why we opted towards Thursday. But as part of the pilot, the nice thing about it is we're flexible. And if we find we can do another survey in 3 months, and if we find that doesn't work, perhaps on Friday.
Fantastic. Any other questions from Mr. Ando? Well, kudos to Lexington County and to you guys for giving this a shot, putting it out here, working with the community. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I've left some schedules out on the table.
She asked me a question in the back.
Oh, certainly. Go ahead.
How much warning do you need for a door to go pick up?
2 hours notice.
And there's a number posted on the flyer?
Yes, there's some schedules on the table.
That's great. Thank you again for coming out and being with us this evening.
Thank you. If you don't mind, I'd like to maybe give a quarterly update on
That would be
performance,
fantastic.
so you're aware of how the route's doing.
Love it. Love it.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Appreciate Mr. Ando coming out tonight from Columbia to offer us that information and updates. If I could, Chief Wright, if you could come on up for the end of the year fire department report.
All right, good afternoon. Once again, 2019 year-end review report. Y'all will have copies in front of you that you can kind of follow along if you so wish. Your second page is the page that you normally get in your council report with all the numbers on it. It is not showing up here. I skipped over that one. It's just a little bit kind of hard to see. I'll get down to the numbers, make stuff a little bit easier for you to look at in a minute. Just some kind of big highlights we had for 2019, we added 7 new volunteers to the system, which was a pretty big push there. We had 5 of them take their firefighter training, their basic firefighter training. 4 of them took hazardous materials training. We added 4 new instructor personnel to the department and to teach firefighter classes, and we added 3 instructors to take the driver training. The big significance in this is of the people who took the training there, we added 4 interior certified firefighters to the department this year. With us having in-house instructors, all of this training was done to get them to that level in-house. They left Batesburg-Leesville one time to go to a burn building in Lexington to get their certification there. The other advantageous side of this is, with us adding our own instructors, is the fact that we don't necessarily have to meet class minimums. If you go to the fire academy and want to host the basic firefighter class, you have to have 8, 10, 12 people before the fire academy ever send anybody out to do it. We can run this with one person if we can run it with one person. So it greatly enhances us being able to do this. To get that interior certification, it is about 178 hours total contact hours, not credit hours. So pretty big commitment by those 4 people that got this done in a year. 2019 calls. Here's, like I said, the same information you have in the chart, just a little bit easier to see. We had 929 calls. I believe we were sitting at 954 last year, so we were down just a little bit, which is a good thing. By far and large, most of our calls come from medical and public service calls. The number in parentheses is the actual number of calls that we had in each category. The purple one you see where it says MVA, that is motor vehicle accident, just abbreviated there to make it clean up a little bit. So the public service and the medicals, by and large, is our big one. We did run 71 fires, and that includes all types of fires there last year. All right, just call volume over a 10-year time span, 2009, 2019. As you can tell, we're steadily on the increase. This year, like I said, did dip down a little bit, which is a really good thing. But we were at 929 versus 954, so we're still holding strong, over 900 calls in service a year. All right, by type, this just breaks a couple of bigger sections down for you. Once again, this is over a 10-year time frame as well. You can see, once again, the public service and the medicals, as we've talked about, have just greatly increased over that 10-year time frame, and everything else has kind of went up and down. All in all, our fires were up a little bit more this year over last year, from 53 to 73. All right, 2015 to 19, this breaks things down just into a little more detailed information for you. This is over a 5-year period. 2019 would be to your far left in the blue. The 2 calls that we decreased in were the first responder calls. We actually dropped down a few calls there. And in the other category, and basically if it's not in one of those structure fire, vehicle, woods fires, other fires, public service, wrecks, or false alarms, it kind of gets lumped into that other category. The other and the medicals were down a little bit. I think everything else rose just a touch. All right, participation for in-town structure fires. With the in-town structure fires, we had 4 of them this year, so we were up from 1 from last year. The 2018, 2019 numbers were the same for the average number of responders on fires, which was 16, which is a pretty good number. Would also like to point out that the recruitment and retention to grant position, that is when that started in 2018 as well. So I would like to think that that's kind of paying some dividends and getting some numbers up, or helping us get some numbers up there too. All right, in-town response times. As you can tell, in the Batesburg district, we dropped a few seconds here off of the response times. We have one guy who is on shift 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. He is housed out of the Leesville station, and that is kind of the basically minute and a half there you get from going from one side of town to the other. The Leesville district was up last year just a little bit as far as our response times. I ran the numbers again in January just to kind of double check those to see if we could figure out why, and they were back down to 4 minutes and 35 seconds. So they're back down from where they should be there. The contract area we have with Lexington County, these are response times for it as well. Once again, both of those numbers down a little bit for response time, so we're getting out and getting on scene a little bit quicker than we did last year, which is good. And this is our Saluda County contract times. Both of those numbers are up just a hair. Probably one of the bigger reasons it's such a greater influx there is we don't run, but maybe, I don't know, I would roughly guess 30 or so calls probably a year in Saluda County, so you're dealing with a pretty small sample size, and we can't have to travel a pretty good ways to get from here to Saluda County. So I think it's got a little bit to do with that. Anyone have any questions?
Oh, you say you had 66 false calls. What happens when you get those calls? Is it the people that make those false calls, are they reprimanded for that, or what happens with that?
If they can figure out who it is and it's a false call like that, they can be. The other thing is maybe like fire alarms going off where for some reason an alarm malfunctions or a little bit of dust gets on the sensor or something like that, is where some of those come into. So it's not necessarily just someone calling, it's, matter of fact, the most of it is probably the automatic alarm systems where something will go off and it just won't be a fire there.
Do you have a mechanism on the so-called automatic alarm systems, repeat offenders?
I don't.
There is a town ordinance. There is a town ordinance. They couldn't be fined. And we've sent warnings before. That usually serves as a good motivation.
What's a typical medical call?
As far as content or time?
Yeah, you listed it as a medical. What's a typical medical call? Is it lifting, personal assistance?
The lifting personal assistance are the public service calls. It could be anything from breathing problems, heart attacks.
What's the level of certification on your people for first responders, for medical? Do you have EMTs or?
We are running EMR, nationally registered EMRs for our paid staff.
For the paid staff
yes,
only? Okay.
Well, we have we have two volunteers that also took it too. We're working on trying to get another class up to boost that number up a little bit higher. Hopefully we can run it. We partnered with Lexington County EMS to get that done 2 years ago. And I talked with them the other day about getting another one set up, and they said that we would try to get something done this year. So
yeah, I've been out of the medical field for some time, but EMR status versus EMT protocols?
It's really no protocols that I know of as far as that really the EMR can do other than like oxygen administration, stuff like that would be the only protocol or kind of drug that you could, if you will, administer. Mm-hmm. It is, I believe, about 80 hours for the EMR, about 200 for the EMT.
So they actually call for medical assistance if you respond and you've got a breathing problem. You then call for EMS or?
They're coming automatically. We just try to do it to get in front.
Your true first responder.
That's right. So if it's they may call us, and a lot of times they will give us, estimated time of arrival when they'll be there, and it may be 15, 20, sometimes it's 30 minutes out, and it's just, we can get there quicker than they can.
And Chief, and just kind of, we do have a few new people on council, and looking at that medical call graph, it's a massive change between 2009 and 2019. Can you speak a little bit to the logistics of that, of why, what has changed? What are we doing extra that we didn't used to have to do? Is there anything in there that's caused that massive blue line from 2009 to 2019?
Okay, I'm gonna also ask Jay to kind of weigh in on this, to kind of, if I get a little bit off with this one, but I think the biggest thing with it is dispatching procedure and protocol, and it started out where it was only, we're gonna run X, Y, and Z call, whatever it was, a breathing problem or whatever, and it's through dispatching protocol, dispatching procedure now, they kind of tweak stuff out to where they're refining what we go to, and we may run to a little bit more than what.
So was it?
Well, and also around 2010, 2011, we went into an agreement with Lexington County to respond to more medical calls. In exchange, they provide AEDs and medical supplies for us. So prior to that 2010, they only sent us to, maybe a cardiac arrest, but something major. So we only had a few minor numbers, and it increased significantly in that point. I would like to say that since that time, we've had, I think, 7 documented saves of lives, and we've recognized some of our members before council. So it certainly has paid dividends by adding this service to the fire department.
That's awesome.
What equipment do you respond to on the medical?
What equipment as far as truck, we have a pickup truck most of the time that we run the most of them out of, just because we're running so much to kind of try to keep some wear and tear off the engines and stuff, so.
Now, you have 5 major apparatus.
We have about a dozen different pieces. We have 3 engines, 2 tankers, support truck, the pickup.
The age on the engines and support truck, age on
We have
tankers.
99, a 95, 96.
Yeah, 95.
Okay, so 95 took possession in 96, and then we have a 07.
I rode in the one that was from 1895, I think.
Yes, and we do have the 2 old ones
Yeah.
as well, but they don't respond.
Anything else, Chief? Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Mr. Luckadoo, if you would continue.
All right, appreciate the chiefs coming out and providing those updates tonight, as well, Mr. Ando, for coming out and keeping us up to date on what the comet has going on this new month. Okay. Keeping on, we do, as a save the date for the community, this year's town egg hunt will be held on April 8th, which is the week of spring break, just as we did this past year. So just wanted to put that out so that Mr. Ballman and people that watch the video can help us with the save the date for this event. This event has grown over the past few years, and we certainly want to get this information out so people can get it on their calendars. As far as times and exactly what we're going to have going on, we will get that out as soon as possible. Moving on, we are happy to say that Palmetto Pride has given the town a grant for litter control this year. They have notified us that we have been awarded $5,000 to be used towards the purchase of some type of vehicle for litter control. We currently do not have a designated vehicle for litter control. Our litter control officer that's going out 10 hours a week is having to kind of borrow vehicles right now from whatever's available on a week-to-week basis. But they have given us $5,000, and we have gone out to the state surplus. We're not saying we need a new vehicle to go out.
It's being picked up, I mean, it's being bagged, and then the street crew's gonna buy and grab it, right?
No, sir, as he bags it, he's throwing it in the back
got
of
it.
the truck to keep the street guys from
Got it.
coming back out and backtrack. Though, and no one said that this had to be an actual, like, Ford Ranger or Chevy Colorado or anything like that. This could be a used, all-terrain vehicle of some type. We are looking at what's out there. Our fleet director, Jeremy, has gone out to state surplus. There are some used Ford Rangers out there for just over $5,000 that are in good shape. They do have some mileage on it, but again, we don't really need a new vehicle with no miles to go out and do this at the rate in which we're doing it. So, but we are thankful that Palmetto Pride has given us something towards this. And we will be back to council if we find a good vehicle that fits within that we can go after. Moving on, the master plan presentation will be presented. The final recommendations by the consulting firm will be presented at a work session on February 24th, later this month. In addition to the final master plan study, the consulting team that performed the bike and pedestrian study, to include the consulting team that's doing the master plan study, They will be here the same evening to give the final results of the bike and pedestrian study. This will be at 6 o'clock here at Town Hall, and the public is encouraged to come out and attend that work session to see what the final results were. A quick update on the school resource officers. We have, since council approved the 2 additional SROs, we have filled both of those vacancies at this time, which now gives us a full-time SRO at each of the schools in Lexington School District 3. So we could say that each of our schools are fully protected at this time, and we are excited about that. Our recent addition is Officer Suzanne Shealy. I believe she started today. Is that correct, Chief? That's correct. Yep, she started today. I saw her at the middle school with Officer Holloway this morning, who took her around to introduce her to everybody. But she is actually a certified officer coming to us, but is also already certified as a school resource officer, which is an additional class through the South Carolina Criminal Justice Academy. Additionally, we have purchased almost all of the equipment. We do have one more vehicle we are waiting to come in, and once we get that, we can finish up our reimbursement to Lexington School District 3 to get their half of that reimbursed to them. Moving on, just wanted to note to council that if you weren't aware, January 1, 2020, Microsoft Windows 10 came into effect, and the previous versions were going to no longer be supported. That did lead us to have to go out, and I don't remember the exact number of computers, but we had a number of computers throughout the town that had to be upgraded. I want to give a special thanks to Lieutenant Dave Baltnight as well as Dispatcher Tim Roof in the PD. The 2 of them being technology savvy and great with computers. They kind of took this project on themselves. We really did not replace, I don't think, a single computer. They were able to go out and get new hard drives with Windows 10, upgrade the computers, put the new hard drives in, work with everybody to back up their documents, get them back on the computer. In essence, we got out of this for right at $1,500, and had we have had to outsource this, this would have been multiple thousands of dollars. So I really want to say a kudos to those 2 from the police department who saved the town a lot of money by taking this on. So if you do see them, be sure to thank them for their time and effort. We've been talking about DOT TAP grants for quite some time, phase 2. I had previously reported that DOT had awarded us, or given us notification of award for an additional $384,000 in TAP grant funds to be used towards phase 2 of the sidewalk project, which is along Highway 23 from North Lee Street to the Walmart entrance. I previously reported that while the funding was approved, they didn't know exactly where the money was going to come from. And so I reached out to them. They said, please give us till after the first of the year and let us get past the first of the year and see what we're going to do. Well, they've received their 2020 allotment of TAP funds for this year, and they've stated that they're going to take that $384,000 from the 2020 allotment. So now they know where the money is coming from. I was going to report to you that a pre-construction meeting was set for March 16th, but got further clarification on that today, and that's going to be on the Highway 1 widening, not the DOT TAP grant phase 2. So I thought that was going to be a part of this project, but they hit me later this afternoon, so that'll be on the Highway 1 widening. North Lee Street and Livingston Lane sewer line replacement project that was previously approved by council. That work is underway on the North Lee Street portion of this project. Let's just say weather has been an issue to date with all the rain to get the contractor out there on a consistent basis to get in a good groove of laying the sewer line. I know they have tapped into the existing sewer line at the intersection of Trotter and North Lee Street. And now they've tried to begin actually installing the line, but the rain is making it very difficult for them. the rain has caused some problems with some of the existing lines out there as they try to
Are the contractors talking to the citizens in that area that are affected by this?
They are.
Okay.
As well as our staff.
Okay.
You know, one of the things that we've gotten is, man, they've dug up trees and bushes. The homeowners were aware. We did make contact with the homeowners. We knew a lot of landscaping in yards was going to be disrupted because we can't undo the existing sewer line. We kind of have to go further back into people's property. And so there was a lot of communication up front with the property owners that all this would be occurring. So. And the last thing, you have a copy of the monthly financial budget update in front of you. Just to recap our account balances for the end of January, our general fund moved up from $563,841 to $869,275, and I will talk more about that in just a minute. The savings remaining the same at $37,351. Our police donations at $5,655. The fire department 1% at $15,448. The municipal court came in at $37,686, and victims assistance at $667, for a total of all non-utility funds $966,085.54 to end the month of January. With regards to the utility fund accounts, the checking at $200,045, the reserve at $766,236, the capital improvement / impact fee account at $1,516,208, our USDA debt service reserve at $563,636, and then $3 in our USDA depreciation and $2 in our senior assistance, for a total of all utility funds $3,046,130.70. Our hospitality tax checking account ended the month of January at $492,911.09, which brings all of our funds for the end of January to $4,505,127.33. As I reported last month, December is the month where you're going to see our general fund checking account at its lowest point due to tax dollars coming in the first part of the year, but that we should see an increase beginning in January. We did receive our first amount of property tax funds of $538,686 in January. So that's why part of why you see that big increase from December to January. You will continue to see property tax money come in over the next 3 to 4 months. And you will see that account continue to increase. We had hoped business license applications would be out by the end of January, but our software provider is working through an issue that must be resolved before we can get those out. We do hope to have our business license, 2020 business license renewals out within the next week or two. Once those are out, you will begin to see that business license revenue line item increase. But with the businesses having an April 30th deadline to get those in. One thing I want to note that will stand out is in January, if you're looking through each of the budgets from a salary, retirement, FICA, those line items, a lot of them will show around 10%. That is because we did have a 5 pay period month in the month of January, so it's going to reflect a little bit higher right now for those. As well, if you're looking through the budget, our property and casualty and vehicle insurance, we pay that twice annually. We just made our second payment in January for those. So when you look at those line items, you're seeing more what is a final number for those in this fiscal year budget. Our PD overtime line item is on the high side at 84% at this point. Wanted to point this out. This is due to multiple vacancies that we have in the police department, with 1, vacancies. Number 2, people being at the police academy for training 8 weeks at a time. Well, our guys are having to pull some extra shifts to cover those vacancies, and that has led to an increase in the overtime line item for the police department. And for the PD capital line item, it continues to show increases, but the new SRO equipment and vehicle purchases have been added. One vehicle has been added to that, along with the equipment needed for the new SROs. So that's increased that line item a little bit more, just to note the increase on that. If there's any questions, I'll be happy to take those at this time.
Apparently, our revenues are running ahead of last year significantly, particularly in the area of business licenses and property tax. I show an increase over last year of some $300,000.
Well, and I will tell you that can fluctuate from year to year. Some people choose to pay in January, and then one year they may not pay until February. So that can, I try to wait until we get through that property tax period, the first 3 to 4 months, before I really look at solidifying that number based on previous years.
You had a significant uptick in the administration department in August. Was that involved in any kind of buyout of ex-employees or compensation for accrued time?
Are you talking about for, in August?
Yes.
Okay, August was a pay period month. The 2nd, 9th, 16th, and 23rd. 2nd, 9th, 16th, 23rd, and 30th. So we had a 5 pay period month that month as well.
So there was no impact by our assistant town manager?
And yes, I was going to say, we have had our assistant town manager left, so anytime an employee leaves, any unused annual leave time that employee's had, as long as they leave with a 2-week notice, they are paid out that annual leave time.
Do we have a significant liability? Do we have a significant liability lurking out there on accrued paid comp time, so vacation? What's our policy?
As far as comp time, no, sir, we do not. But as far as annual leave time, I mean, there's always going to be a liability out there for any employee that's accrued.
What's the maximum that an employee can accrue? Do we have a policy?
You can carry over 240.
You can carry 240. That's not the maximum, obviously. You can carry 240, but there's some people. What's the maximum amount of hours? Is it 15 hours?
15 hours.
15 hours a month if you've been here as long as
Wallace.
Chief and Ms. Barber, if you've been here as long as them, you're earning 15 hours a month. That can be added to the 240-hour carryover.
So you've been here 30 years at 15 hours per month times 12, 360 times 15. You're speaking 4,000 or 5,000 hours. That's 100 weeks paid, or am I?
So you can only carry 240, and if they earn 15 hours per month over the course of that next year and don't use any annual leave, they can only carry 240 into that next year.
Right. So the actual buyout maximum is 240 hours.
Not necessarily. If they left in the 10th month, there could be 150 hours added to that, and that we could potentially have.
And I say we have a full year of hospitality tax under our belt.
Yes, sir.
It looks like we're going to be running somewhere around $550,000 a year.
We did $570,000 in the first year of hospitality tax. First 12 months of it. Yes, sir. All right. Thank y'all.
All right. Thank you, sir. We have no executive session this evening, so we're going to jump forward to item 13, potential agenda items for next month's meeting on March the 9th. Do I have any items from council at this time? Okay, moving on. Do I have a motion to adjourn? So moved. Mr. Gambrell, do I have a second? Second. Second by Ms. Etheridge. Any discussion? District 1?
Yes.
2?
Yes.
4?
Yes.
5? 6?
Yes.
7?
Yes.
8?
Yes.
And I vote yes. We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone, for coming.